Baby Joe's big stories. Here we go.
All right, we about to roll with it. We about to go in on your boy Ben Rothlisberger.
Ben Rothlisberger. What's the story?
We've watched this whole Steelers thing go down, and we've watched the situations that have been popping up over and over again. And I just gotta say, like, we all smelled the smoke, but now I think we can see the smoke. Mm-hmm. And if you look close enough in the Steelers locker room, you might be able to see some fire too. Remember the story about Ben when he criticized his teammates publicly? Mm-hmm. You know, so during the regular season, he talked about during a public interview that, you know, AB was running the wrong routes. James Washington dropped some balls on the ground. The offensive coordinator didn't call Juju's number enough, you know, toward the end of the last drive, you know. And so anyway, listening to all this stuff that he's talking about, I'm like, that's not a cool thing to do. I'm like, why would you do something like that, Ben? And so when he was asked, why do you criticize your team publicly? Ben says, I've earned the right to do this, and I'll be just as critical of myself. Really? Really? It's one thing to criticize yourself because, you know, you can't get upset with yourself when you talk about yourself. But other players in the locker room, for all the time we've watched the NFL or any type of sport, we've always said that it was a wrong thing to publicly criticize people, and it's really out of line. So I'm sure Ben misses passes. He misses plays. I wonder how he would feel if his wide receivers and his coach and his offensive coordinator said he needed to focus more or be more accurate or maybe read the defense better, and maybe he would probably do better. You think? But who knows? But the thing that I noticed the most after this incident was that was when you start to see Antonio Brown start to unravel. You start to see crazy things starting to leak out of the locker room, and then the thing was the person that was interviewing him asked Ben, you know, so when it comes to your teammates, you know, do you think they would have a problem with this? And so Ben said, well, I don't know. He said, you know, you can probably ask them. I'm not sure how they would react. So I'm like, man, let me do a little research here. So I start pulling up some information online. And so I figured out why he might not know that his teammates may not particularly like the fact that he talks about them in the media. And that's because he doesn't talk to his teammates. Ben doesn't. Mm-hmm. So I was reading about an article about Josh Harris, and he said that Ben doesn't connect with his teammates. Harris said he used to connect with other vets, but not Ben. They say he is close to the offensive line. These are his exact words. He is close with the offensive line and maybe a few guys here and there. But for the most part, he stays to himself. During practice, when the team will be warming up, a lot of times he will be sitting on the water coolers reading the newspapers. So when Ben is critical of players publicly without having a relationship with them, it can rub them the wrong way because they don't know if it is out of love or what. And when you call out all pro guys, that definitely doesn't sit well with them. All right. So Isaac Redman, enter him into the equation. Another former Steelers running back from 2009 to 2013. He also said in an interview that there was a disconnect between Roethlisberger and his teammates, particularly when it came to the quarterback criticizing them publicly, as he did with Brown late last season. He said it's going to rub guys the wrong way. Some stuff should be kept in house. You come to them. You don't put it out in public. When you do that, you open yourself up for criticism, and here you start to see the criticism start to leak out. Now, all this time, I'm seeing these little articles and stuff, but for whatever reason, it's not jumping out on the radar for me to be like, Ben might be the problem. Right. So back to Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown would tweet, you know, from time to time. One of the tweets that he put out last season, he said that there's no conflict with Ben, just a matter of respect, mutual respect. He said he has an owner mentality, like he can call out anybody, including the coaches. Players know, but they can't say anything about it. Otherwise, they lose their meal ticket. It's a dirty game within the game. Wow. So then you start to hear a little bit more about exactly how and why this feud between Antonio Brown and Roethlisberger came about. Former NFL player James Jones, who works for the NFL Network, he shared this information about Pittsburgh. So he says, I've talked to a couple of people in the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, and they told me this has been lingering on. He said, I've been told in meetings that Roethlisberger would take shots at AB like, I don't got to throw you the ball and things like that. Wednesday in a practice, he said He said, I heard that he ran the wrong routes, AB, and Big Ben threw the ball on the ground and said, get him out of here, get somebody else in there. And that's when AB was at his boiling point, and that's when he went off. So then I started to think, too, how are we starting to see all of this start to develop? And I realized that what we were seeing was it was the result of a lot of those glue guys that have gone on that used to be with the team. Guys like Hines Ward,
Palomalu.
Yes, Jerome Bettis, premier NFL personalities.
Harrison was the last one.
And professionals, those guys that were spokesmen for the team, they're no longer there. So now you're getting to see the real Ben Rothlisberger.
You're getting Ben's team.
That's it. So you're seeing him. So now you look at the situation. Todd Haley's gone. AB is gone. Le'Veon's gone. They're different players. They're not like those guys I just named off. But now you've run away all your good players. So now we get to this. So today, the reason I happen to look back at all this stuff, we find out this new information that came out in 2014, week 17. One of the former
I have the story right here.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, this is from Cody Benjamin, CBS Sports. The title of the article is "Former Steelers Running Back Says Ben Roethlisberger Fumbled on Purpose to Spite Todd Haley."
Yep.
Josh Harris, in a tweet. His tweet says 2014, week 17. He's detailed in this tweet. 2014, week 17, we were playing the Bengals. Todd Haley called a run play, and with very little time left in the game, Ben wanted to kneel. He rolled his eyes in the huddle. He then purposely fumbles the ball. I had to recover it. At that moment, I knew what kind of person he was.
Yeah, I saw the clip, and the way the clip looked to me was, so apparently Todd Haley calls a play. He doesn't want to. Ben wants to kneel, but Todd Haley wants to run the ball. So they snap the ball. Ben turns. Looks like he's handing it to the halfback or the fullback. It kind of grazes his arm, falls on the ground, and then Josh Harris recovers it. Now, the thing that was funny about it was that the fullback says, I know when a play is called for me. You know, because he doesn't get the ball that much. So he would have been ready for it. And everybody else that was, if you watch the clip, they turn and they look and they're like, yo, what's going on here? So I say all that to say, I get it now why Antonio Brown was upset. I actually give him a pass. Because, you know, the whole dyeing your hair blonde and everybody's like, oh, he's coming off his rocker. That was the problem. And he just wasn't taking it anymore. And I think the only way he can get out of there was to ask for more money and make a stink and then actually exit the building. And so now the Steelers are stuck with Ben Roethlisberger, and who knows what's going to happen to him now in regards to how they'll perform during the season.
Right. Well, I'm not as concerned about the loss of the skill position talent as I am about this new revelations about Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Because regardless of the skill position players, Ben Roethlisberger is universally considered a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, the type of quarterback that has a chance to make the playoffs just because he's on your team. However, that comes with a certain amount of assumptions that everybody's on board for this guy. They follow him into battle. You know what I'm saying? He's going to make everybody around him better, and everybody's going to do what they can to win for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can do that as a quarterback with less talent around you. We see it with Russell. We see it with Tom Brady. You know what I mean? But if it turns out that no one actually likes you,
well, the tight
and your
end,
skill position players are gone, now you have an issue.
Jesse James left and came to Detroit, one of their tight ends. He said he's just tired of the drama. He said he was tired of it.
Wow.
So the thing is, if you're going to give it to T.O., you're going to give it to Odell Beckham, Antonio Brown. I think you need to give it to Ben Roethlisberger too, because where there's smoke, there's definitely
fire. And then not to mention the incidents with the assaults or the alleged assaults. That's really, really serious.
Yeah.
But, you know, after a period of time, we can forgive that to some measures, considering that you're staying out of trouble.
Right.
Fine, second chance, third chance. Cool. But when you're adding it all up, it's really, really starting to look like a problem.
Yeah, it's a big problem. So that may be the reason they ultimately don't do the best. Not unless he goes and gets some I don't know, some classes to know how to treat people and how to be friendly. Like, I mean, sometimes circumstances make you act different. but I don't know if he can. He's an old dog. He's been doing this too long.
But you know what? Your players on your team, your teammates will give you the benefit of the doubt, and they're not giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.